But in that second, when I turned them off, I saw the student come running down. So I turned my flashes back on. As I was continuing to slow, I was watching the transport driver in my left mirror. She looked really close, way too close. I reached up to my interior mirror so I could look out a bit. The left mirror is loose on the spare bus. I just wanted to confirm and see how close she was out the back window when she hit me. At that point, I pulled off to the side of the road and I radioed dispatch. I mean, you know, the whole way I thought this was just, you know, I thought she was playing a game. She rode my bumper all the way from Wilson. I didn't think she would actually hit me, but I mean, just perhaps she was so close.
Madam, can you describe your school bus for the court?
Well, it's yellow with the words school bus painted in black letters on the front and the back. It has flashing lights on the top and on the top and the rear, and I mean, it's got a sign on the left that could be activated by me.
Did you see the driver of the tractor trailer that you've described?
Yes, I did.
Did you get this driver's name?
No, but I remember what she looked like.
Do you see this person in the courtroom today?
Yes, that's her sitting at the table wearing the vest.
Your Worship, may the record again reflect that the witness has been identified?
So noted.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Ms. Stalker?
I don't think so.
Thank you. Those are all the questions I have for you. Please remain there. My friend may have some cross.
Ms. Stalker, we've heard that you've been a school bus driver for some 5 years, correct?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Did you receive any training to become a school bus driver?
Yes, I did.
As part of your training, madam, did you learn to slam on your brakes when large vehicles were behind you?
No, that's not part of my training.
What were you trained to do then when, in your estimate, vehicles are too close?
I don't specifically remember.
Ms. Stalker, I suggest that you were probably trained to do the logical thing like slow down and pull over.
No, I don't think so.
Well, I thought you just said you don't remember. Which is it, Ms. Stalker? Do you or don't you?
I can't remember back to my training. What I do remember is that your client almost tried to kill me.
Well, we'll get to that. Are you a safe driver?
Absolutely.
Are you a very safe bus driver?
Of course I am.
The school bus you were driving on the morning of June 21st, it wasn't your typical school bus, correct?
No, it was a spare.
Had you ever driven this spare before?
A couple of times. You know, I don't remember exactly.
You knew, however, that the bus had poor takeoff, meaning it was slow to pick up and gain speed.
It's a school bus. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a race car.
You indicated in your narrative that the left mirror was loose. Is this something that you knew before beginning the drive this morning?
Yeah.
Is this issue not something you should have repaired before commencing your morning run?
It was fine. I could see out of it. It was just a bit loose, that's all.
I'm going to suggest to you, Ms. Stalker, that the left mirror is vital to the safe operation of your school bus. Because if it's loose, you can't see a clear image of the vehicles behind you, and therefore cannot make appropriate decisions about... I would like to bring a motion for non-suit.
On what grounds?
There has been no evidence that my client drove without due care and attention or without reasonable consideration for other people using the highway. What we did here is that Ms. Stalker acted unreasonably. It was Ms. Stalker who drove without proper attention and failed to consider other users of the highway. There is insufficient evidence upon which this court can find that my client committed the prohibited act upon a prima facie level. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Worship. A motion for non-suit is not the time to be weighing the evidence. The court need ask itself one question. Is there any evidence on each essential element? You have, I would submit, Your Worship, some evidence that Ms. Ryder was indeed driving without the appropriate due care and attention, and that she failed to have consideration for other users of the highway. And in this instance, that would be Ms. Stalker and her school bus.
Thank you. I'm bound by the principles articulated by the Supreme Court of Canada case of United States USA versus Shepherd, Justice Ritchie, for the majority, wrote, quote, "My function is not to weigh the evidence to decide whether or not I believe it, but rather to determine whether there is evidence upon which a reasonable jury, properly instructed in law, could bring in a verdict of guilty. And so, if there is some evidence on all the essential elements, regardless of what weight I may give that evidence, at the close of trial, I must dismiss the motion for non-suit and commit the defense to answer the charge. I am satisfied that there is some evidence on all the essential elements of this charge, and therefore I dismiss the motion for non-suit and turn the case over to the defense. Madam Defense, call your first witness if you are so inclined."
The defense calls Ms. Ryder to the stand. Do you remember the events of June 21st, 2011 that bring you here today?
I sure do.
On the morning of June 21st, were you working?
Yes, I was.
What were your plans for that morning?
I had a load of drywall, about 42 tons of it to be exact, I think, and I was taking it to Collingwood.
Where did you pick up this load?
In Aurelia.
Are you familiar with the stretch of Highway 26 that we've heard so much about today?
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
I saw the school bus sitting at the stop sign on Wilson Drive. There was a vehicle in front of me, and she waited for it to pass her.
Who is she?
The school bus driver.
Thank you.
I was about 200 meters from the school bus when she pulled out in front of me, just cutting me right off. I was fully loaded, and I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to stop. Then, as we were coming around the bend, she hit her brakes a couple of times. I could see her looking in the mirror. I started gesturing to her with my phone, indicating that I'd call 911 if she kept it up. She put her flashers on and then turned them off and started to slow down. I looked to see if there was any students she was picking up, but I didn't see anyone. All of a sudden, she came to a dead stop without warning, and that's when I hit the bus in the back driver's side corner. Like I said, I was fully loaded, so stopping distance was much shorter.
Photographs 6, 7, and 8. As we've heard, those photographs were taken the next day, therefore they're not contemporaneous with the event, and quite frankly, they have no real bearing on the circumstances of the accident. The crash site, as we've learned, is a ½ kilometer away, therefore they're irrelevant.
Any comments, Ms. McGrath?
We've heard Ms. Ryder explain that the intersection didn't change in the single day that passed. The time of day was different, but the pictures are there only to illustrate the intersection and provide the trier of fact with a clear indication of what happened.
As outlined in the case of...
Madam, you tell this court that the bus pulled out in front of you, correct?
Yes, that is what happened.
Did you, at this time, blow your air horn when the bus allegedly cut you off?
No, I did not.
I suggest to you, madam, that the reason you didn't activate your horn was because the bus was too far away from you and you knew she wouldn't hear it.
No, I didn't want to take my hands off the wheel.
Oh, but you did take your hands off the wheel, Miss Ryder. In fact, you told this court that you had your cell phone and you were waving it around, threatening to call 911.
Yeah, but that's at a totally different time.
A different time, Miss Ryder? You told us this all happened in less than a minute. It seems to me, Miss Ryder, that the time is longer when it suits you and shorter when you need it to be. Isn't that right?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Never mind that. You knew you were loaded.
Of course.
And you knew that because of the weight you were carrying, you required a greater stopping distance, true?
Yes, I knew that.
But despite this, madam, you chose to, according to your own testimony, keep up with the bus rather than let it gain distance between you.
Well, the bus did gain distance between us, and I began to accelerate. I could not predict that she was going to slam on her brakes. I never saw that coming.
It's a school bus, Miss Ryder. You never foresaw that it was going to stop and pick up passengers?
Not like that.
I'm going to suggest to you, madam, that the only conclusion this court can draw from your testimony is that you had somewhere to be, and you didn't care very much for this bus getting in your way and slowing you down.
No, I'm a professional driver, and I have to deal with all sorts of traffic. I didn't care that the bus was in front of me. My only concern was the manner of which she was driving.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Worship.